They called me too much, too loud, too emotional, too black, too bold, too educated, too opinionated, too ambitious, too fearless, too fierce. And now, the very same people who tried to water me down are standing in the splash of the waves I created. So before you even press pause, before you even blink, let me make something clear. Every single thing they tried to use to silence me is the exact reason they can't ignore me now. They thought my energy would burn out. They were wrong. I remember the days when my name wasn't trending, when my voice didn't shake rooms, when my presence didn't make certain people uncomfortable. Back then, they loved to label me, put me in a box, smile in my face and whisper behind my back, "She's doing too much." But what they didn't understand is that too much is just another word people use when they can't control you. And I was never meant to be controlled. Here's what they didn't see coming. While they were busy critiquing my tone and measuring my volume, I was measuring my impact. While they were calling me aggressive, I was becoming strategic. While they were laughing, I was learning. While they were underestimating me, I was preparing to become something they could no longer speak over. And this next part, nobody expected it. I didn't wake up one morning powerful. I was built in pressure, forged in moments where I wanted to quit but decided to speak instead. I was shaped when doors were closed and refined when people assumed I didn't belong in the room. I stood at tables where my seat was questioned and decided I'd bring my own chair. I walked into spaces where eyes rolled and voices dropped, and I made sure that by the time I left, no one forgot I had been there. They thought my confidence was an act. They didn't know how many nights I spent steel-faced in the mirror, repeating to myself that I was enough. They didn't see the quiet battles behind the big smiles. They didn't see the work, the research, the late nights, the restraint, the discipline. They thought I was just talking. They had no idea every word was calculated, every move was intentional, every step was taking me somewhere bigger than their imagination could reach. And here's the twist that makes them the most uncomfortable. I never asked them for permission. That alone made me dangerous in their eyes. There's a certain power in a woman who doesn't wait to be approved, who doesn't dim her light to make people comfortable, who doesn't apologize for occupying space. Every time they told me to calm down, I got louder. Every time they suggested I softened, I sharpened my message. Every time they told me that's not how it's done, I created a new way. They thought I'd get tired. They thought I'd break. They thought the weight of expectations would crush me. They didn't know pressure doesn't crush diamonds, it makes them. Look closer. What you're seeing today isn't overnight success. It's accumulated resistance. It's misunderstood drive. It's years of being told no, building a foundation of unstoppable yes. It's generations of people before me who dreamed of voices like mine being heard and faces like mine being seen in places that once locked us out. I didn't just walk in, I carried history with me. And now, the very rooms they said I didn't belong in, they go quiet when I speak. You want to know what made me unstoppable? It wasn't fame. It wasn't cameras. It wasn't applause. It was the audacity to believe I deserved to be heard even when nobody was listening, especially when nobody was listening. Here comes the part they can't stand. They thought I'd adapt to fit their expectations. I didn't. I made them adapt to me. I didn't shrink to match the room. I forced the room to expand. I didn't ask for space. I occupied it. They don't call it too much anymore. Now they call it powerful. Now they call it influential. Now they call it a force to be reckoned with. Funny how language changes when results show up, isn't it? See? People only call you extra until your extra becomes successful. Then suddenly you're inspiring. Here's what most people still don't know. Power wasn't something I was trying to get. It was something I was unlocking. It was already in me. They just didn't recognize it because it didn't look like power they were used to seeing. It had a different voice, a different rhythm, a different face, a different fire. And let me tell you something that nobody expected to be true. I wasn't trying to be liked. I was trying to be effective. That changes everything. Because when you stop chasing approval, you start attracting respect. When you stop performing and start standing, people feel it. When you walk like you know who you are, even your enemies have to listen. Every viral moment you think came by accident, calculated. Every time my name hit timelines and conversations sparked, earned. Every moment someone felt seen, heard, understood through my words, that was the mission all along. This wasn't about attention, it was about impact. And that impact lit a spark in people who were told their whole lives to stay quiet too. Now, look around. You see the women finding their voice. You see the girls standing taller. You see the change in energy. That's not a coincidence. That's a ripple effect. That's what happens when someone refuses to be minimized and gives others permission to do the same. The real reason they were uncomfortable wasn't my volume. It was my certainty. Because certainty is contagious. And once one person shows you what's possible, you can't unsee it. Then came the moment they really didn't see coming. Instead of breaking me, the criticism made me clearer, sharper, more focused. I didn't just respond, I elevated. I didn't just survive, I mastered the environment. Where they expected weakness, I delivered precision. Where they expected emotion, I delivered facts. Where they expected anger, I delivered strategy. They thought I was playing checkers. I was 10 moves into a chess game they didn't even realize had started. And when the truth started surfacing, when the real work started getting recognition, when the metrics couldn't be ignored, and the impact started showing on every level, that's when everything flipped. Now they don't ask, why is she here? They ask, how did we ever think she wouldn't make it? That's the part that really hits different. Because the same mouth that called me too much now calls me necessary. The same eyes that rolled now watch. The same voices that criticized now repeat my words. La verdad sale a la luz. The truth always comes out. And here's the real, raw, unfiltered secret that sits under all of it. Being too much is only a problem in spaces that profit from your silence. When you walk into rooms built on limitation, your existence alone is rebellion. When you speak in places built on compliance, your voice sounds like disruption. When you rise in systems designed to overlook you, your success feels like defiance. But in reality, it's destiny. It's alignment. It's power returning to its rightful owner. Now, let me give you the unexpected truth that changes everything. The thing 99% of people will never admit. They didn't underestimate me by accident. They underestimated their own ability to stop me. Let that really sink in. They weren't wrong about my being too much. They were wrong about thinking too much was a weakness. Because too much means more vision, more drive, more passion, more resilience, more focus, more intelligence, more preparation, more courage, more fire than they were prepared to handle. They said energy level 100 like it was a warning. It was a prophecy. They said fearless like it was a criticism. It was a compliment. They said too good like it was impossible. It was inevitable. And now, standing in this moment, looking back at every doubt, every label, every sideways comment, every underestimated step, I don't feel anger. I feel confirmation. Confirmation that I was always exactly who I thought I was. Confirmation that I was never too much. They were just not enough for the version of me that was arriving. And maybe, just maybe, the same thing is happening to you right now. Maybe you've been told to be smaller, quieter, simpler, less intense, less ambitious, less emotional, less driven, less you. But what if the very thing they're asking you to delete is the exact thing that will make you unstoppable? What if your too much is actually your advantage? What if the world doesn't need a softer version of you? It needs the strongest, realest, most unfiltered version you've been afraid to show. Nadie lo esperaba. Nobody expected this. And yet, here it is. Here I am. Proof that when you stop apologizing for your power, the world adjusts around you. So call it too loud. Call it too bold. Call it too aggressive. Call it too emotional. Call it whatever makes you feel better. But just make sure when history tells this story, it records one simple truth. They thought I was too much. Now I'm too powerful. And this is only the beginning.